This is a review on the Kodak Zx1 pocket video camera. It's basically a remake of Kodak Zx1. I believe the only difference is that it has a more rugged body. It has these rubber covers over the cable ports as well as over the SD port, which makes it fairly water resistant. You can't put it in a puddle, like a big bowl or tub of water or anything, but you can use it in the rain and not have any adverse effects. It's pretty easy to use. You have your power button here on the side. You push it and it turns on pretty quickly, right into record mode. It records in HD, which is 720p at 30 frames per second. It also records at 60 frames per second at 720p. It takes stills and also records in the regular VGA. To use, you just choose these left and right arrows to choose what mode you want to shoot in, and then you press this red center button here. It records, and when it's recording, it has a small light to indicate that it's recording. This is the microphone here, and obviously the lens over here. To stop recording, just press the red button again. It beeps to tell you it stops recording. If you want to go and play back, it's just this button here, and you press, and it automatically goes to the last video or picture that you took. When you're playing back, the speaker is here, and you can tell that it's actually pretty loud speaker for something so small. When you are playing back, you could push the playback button and then it'll go slow down several different times, and you press this button here to stop. When you're in playback mode, you use the left and right buttons to scroll through whatever you have here on your memory card in this case, and on the top right it shows you how long the video is. One thing I didn't like about this is that when you're in record mode, or actually in any mode, it doesn't tell you how much memory you still have left. Like with my digital camera, when I'm recording, it gives me a timer that counts down and tells me, oh, I have 15 minutes left to record, or I have 10 minutes left to record. With this, you just will have an indicator on the bottom right that'll tell you when your SD card is almost out of space and when it is completely out of space. You really need an SD card in this because the internal memory is only 128 megabytes, and that really isn't enough to record anything. Like if you want to record in 720p, it'll just record a few seconds. I went ahead and got two gigabyte SD cards that are high speed. You really want high speed cards, especially at least probably class 4 or class 6 to record HD video, or else the video can become choppy. But you can see these rubber covers actually seal pretty well. There's a lip here that goes into a lip on the plastic part here. And I haven't tested it in the rain yet, but I have no doubts that it can handle rain pretty well. The screen is a 2-inch screen that's colored. Quality is actually pretty good. You can see with playback that it's pretty smooth. Probably it's not focusing very well. But you see here that it shows you how much time has elapsed in the video and how much total time the video is. In order to delete images, you would basically select this top left button here, and it'll give you the option to either delete one video or delete all videos, or also just go back. So let's delete this last video and go back. You can find this camera online for around $80 now, brand new. I managed to get this from Sellout Woot for $55 shipped because it was a refurbished model. Down here there was a refurbished sticker that I took off. I think the only difference was that I only got one battery cover instead of two, and the one that I got came with the design on it. Some people said that they didn't get the included software with their refurbished model, but for me I actually got it, but I don't really use it that much. It's interesting though that generally my computer can't play HD videos like 720p or higher because the image will be choppy, but when I tried playing images using their software, it seemed to work out pretty well, so I'm not exactly sure why. This camera does take 2 AA batteries. It came with 2 rechargeable AA batteries, but it can also use any alkaline, which some people say is a disadvantage. Some people like lithium-ion batteries, but for me, you know, if I'm out in the field and I can't readily get to a power plug, then this is great because I could just carry extra alkaline batteries or extra rechargeable batteries and swap out. It includes this charger, which isn't the greatest charger. It's pretty bulky. You know, these 2 prongs don't fold in or anything. I think this negative spring design is a little weak, and I think it's a dumb charger, in a sense that it won't automatically stop when the battery is fully charged. It's basically trickle charging at a set time. The first time I put them into charge, I expected the indicator to go off or, you know, turn green or something, but it didn't. And when I pulled the batteries out and measured them, they were measured at 1.45 volts when they're supposed to be 1.2 volt batteries. Although, really, when you do measure them fully charged, they should be around 1.4. But it doesn't seem like the batteries were damaged in any way. But I'll definitely switch to a smart charger instead of the included Kodak charger. It comes with the HDMI cable, the audio-video cable, and as well as the USB cable, but you can see that the one big disadvantage is that their USB cable is one of their proprietary cable. It's not just a micro USB cable. It's not a big deal for me because I mainly just use a cheap card reader, like a 10-in-1 card reader, and it works out pretty well. Although if you want to get the software that's on the internal memory, then you would have to hook it up to USB cable. Overall dimensions are 2 inches in width, 4 inches long, and around 0.8 inches thick. But yeah, for a $55 camera, or even $80, I think is pretty good. The size is comparable to the Flip Ultra HD, much bigger than the Minnow, obviously, but it also comes at, you know, half the cost, or even really a third of the cost for the Minnow. And so far, I haven't been able to use it a lot, but it's worked out pretty well, and I don't have any regrets buying it. The video quality is pretty good. The stills are okay, although I find that it's a little hard to get the images to focus correctly. Maybe it's just because I'm not using it properly, but yeah, I mean, the sound is a little off too because the microphone is in the front, and if I'm the one doing the speaking, if I'm holding out the camera far away from me, then the sound isn't great, but if it's up close and I'm recording, then it's fine. You know, it's just a mono microphone. You can't expect too much from it. But I think it's probably comparable to most of the pocket camcorders. I don't think it's any worse than other pocket camcorders. It also has a infrared port here, which you can use with optional remote control that you can buy from Kodak. That seems pretty useful, I guess, if you want to stick this onto a tripod and take video, but I don't think I'll be doing that much. Like, if I'm using this on a tripod, it'll basically be right in front of me, and I'll just use the button controls. Also, a lot of these old models, you should really update the firmware. Basically, you know, in any mode, you just press 2 buttons at the same time, and on the top right, it'll give you the firmware version. 1.06 is the newest. You can also change the date and time here, as well as turn on and off the sound that the camcorder makes. Change the format for NTSC or PAL, and you can also reformat your memory card. I guess that's it for this review.